Welcome again. This is your faculty, Dr. Shweta Srivastav, Associate Professor, School of Management, BBD University. So, students, hope all of you are doing good. So, we have come up with another topic, that is operations management in global environment. By this time, we have understood the basic concept of operations management. What are the decision areas in operations management? How the decisions of operations management are divided in different, you can say, time frames. Then we have understood how this operations management function has evolved with the passage of time. So, students, while making you understand the operations management era, I have discussed with you that the scenario has changed. This is the time of globalization. So, we have also understood that operations management include services into its purview. So, the things because of globalization, the competition has increased at a very fast pace. So, it is becoming very difficult for any organization to survive in the market. And in the previous lectures, we have also understood how critical the activity of operations management is. The entire fate of a company rests on the shoulders of the operations management function. Since it is so critical, the decision making is also critical. So, in this globalized scenario, the operations management is very difficult task. So, let us understand what are the challenges faced by operations management nowadays. The new trend is global focus. Now, the companies are required not to go global but to local. See, why the companies are getting global? The reasons are so many. First of all, there is easy telecommunication facility. There is easier transportation facility, and there are few other reasons also. The organizations are finding that their domestic market is saturated. So, to retain their profit margins, they need to move to countries where they have new markets. Moreover, they just want to elongate their product life cycle. I am giving you one example. See, America is working on 8G, but we are still working on 4G. So the products which are outdated in America, they can be readily accepted in India, in a country like India. So in the same way, you can say that these mobile phones which are actually obsolete in a country like India, that can be easily accepted in India. There are so many examples in this area. It can be your LCD, it can be your LED. There are so many things. So, with the help of globalization, what the organizations are doing, they are actually elongating their product life cycle. And in a way, they are finding newer market. Now, when they are working in the global platform, they are not only facing competition from the domestic players, they are facing competition from the international players also. So, to sustain their market position, they have to bring efficiency in their operations. That is what has given rise to just in time performance. See, if I go with the basic definition of profit is equal to revenue minus cost. So, to improve profits, what we have, we can either increase our revenue or decrease our cost. See, revenue is dependent on our competitors and customers who are in external to the business. So, what we are left with only cost reduction. So, the organizations are striving to control their cost. So just in time performance is one another measure to control your cost. Now what happens in just in time performance? In just in time performance, you are actually soliciting inventory when it is needed. The organizations are not holding huge inventories. So what is the drawback of holding huge inventories? First of all, you are blocking your capital. Second, you are opening yourself for the danger of obsolescence. See, the technology is changing so fast that the chances of obsolescence are very high. So you should not store huge inventories. Third, it will lead to the danger of pilferage or theft. So these all drawbacks have actually forced the organization to depend on just-in-time systems. So just-in-time systems are lean systems where you are holding only that much inventory which is actually needed at the time of emergency. Rest of the quantity you will be ordering at as and when it is needed. So just-in-time performance needs support of dedicated vendors. That is what we mean by supply chain partnering. So now the operations management has to consider that vendors are the part of your organization. Because when you are working in just-in-time systems, you need to have inventory that can be immediately inducted in the production process. So you don't have time to check the quality of the input, but at the same time you have to maintain the quality because you cannot play with your future. So you have to rely on the vendor. So supply chain partnering means you are actually treating your vendor as your partner. So whatever saving you are getting because of lesser inventories, you are transferring those savings to your vendors. So you need to have dedicated and you can save very efficient vendors so that you can induct the right input at the right time. So maintaining a supply chain partner is very big challenge in front of the operations manager because there are so many companies who are working in this line, in this area. So it is very difficult to have a team of dedicated vendors. So it is very big challenge in front of the operations manager. Now we have to understand what are pull production systems. See, pull production systems can only work when we have just-in-time performance and we have the process of supply chain management. Now let us understand what is pull production system. There are two types of production systems, pull and push. Push, what was happening in the era of manufacturing management and production management. See what the organizations were doing. The organizations were producing goods according to the prejudices or the, you can say, intuitions of the manufacturer. They were not looking into the market. The huge inventories of output were produced, and this output is thrown, or the market was bombarded with this output. The sales people were given, you can say, ample pressure. The huge incentives were offered to dealers and distributors just to push the product out, your output in the market. So that was push systems where you were holding huge inventories of output and you are pushing your output in the market. Now coming to pull system. So as I said, the production system was actually controlled by the manufacturer. But in case of pull system, the entire production process is triggered when the customer needs. So we are producing according to the customer. We are not producing at the whims and fancies of the manufacturer. So when it comes to pull production systems, you don't know what will be coming up from the customer. So what should we store? What type of machinery we should have? What type of labor we should employ? What size of the factory should be there? So these are all the big questions which are confronted by the operations manager nowadays. So full production systems are systems where you are initiating the production process according to the requirement of the customer. It is not triggered by the manufacturer. So it is very difficult to take decisions regarding the inventory, regarding the type of inventory, regarding the layout, the production system you employ. Now next comes the rapid product developments. See, technology is changing at a very fast pace. The products like you can say pagers, the product like you can say scanners, they are actually obsolete. The typewriters, they are obsolete now. See, the product development is happening at such a fast pace is that it is actually getting difficult to match. So, the organizations need to store lesser inventories. They have to keep a watch on the market because you never know when your product is going to be obsolete. So these rapid product developments are happening because of few reasons. First of all, there is so much of competition. So to woo your customer, what you are doing, you are giving every new thing at a very small time. So because you don't have any other option, you have to give new. We have seen the you can say examples of Nokia and the companies like Nirma. These companies were once the market leaders in India. What happened to Nokia? It failed only because of two factors. One is Android, another is Apple. See, Nokia has a notion that it is the market leader in India and it will be for once and for all. But what happened? It failed to accommodate Android in its mobile systems. So it had a notion that no, this is fair enough to survive in the market. The companies like Samsung understood and came up with newer and newer features in the name of Android. So what actually happened? Now Nokia has lost its identity and sold to Microsoft. The same thing happened with a company like Nirma. When Nirma came into India with the help of Karsan Bhai Patel, who is actually the entrepreneur behind this company, so he came up with a new idea of economic washing soap. But what did happen afterwards? Again, they continued with the same ad, they continued with the same product, and they again felt that no, there is nobody who can beat us. But the companies like Tide, the companies like 555, the companies like Ghadi came up with newer and newer advertisements. They have actually roped in Amitabh Bachchan and Divyanka to promote their product. But Nirma did nothing. They are following the same advertising strategy for the years. So you need to change according to the market. So we have to understand that change the only thing which is permanent. So the organizations who fail to accommodate the environmental changes, they were actually thrown out of the market. We have seen the history of Nokia and Nirma. That is what I've discussed right now. So the organizations need to change, and that is very difficult because if change takes place after a passage of time, it is easier to accommodate, but it is happening every now and then. So it is very difficult to keep a pace with. So this is again a challenge in front of the operations manager. Now the next change is mass customization. See, gone are the days when we were calling it mass production. That is actually mass customization. Now, mass customization means you are actually producing only as per the requirement of the customer. It means you are only providing tailor made products. So, there is no standardization in operations. So, you never know what specifications, what preferences will come up from the customer. And why this is happening? Because the organizations are not working in the same type of environment. In the globalized scenario, you are not only facing cultural difference but also the individual difference. Now understand. See, every organization has to address the cultural difference. See, we have seen that KFC is still not popular in India. Actually, it in the bygone days it was thrown out from India only because of cultural reason because the company had used beef in its production. So that was the example of cultural difference. Now I am taking up the example of McDonald's that is again a fast food chain. Now how it utilized, how it took the cultural difference at its advantage. See, we in India have a very, you can say, very have strong habit of having chaat and tikki in the market. So, and moreover, aloo or potato is our staple diet. So they have addressed two things at one point of time. One, the cultural difference. Another, this company has understood that India is actually in a economic country. Means the per capita income is very low. So they address this problem, two problems at the same time. Once they come up with आलू टिक्की burger with a punchline that आपके ज़माने के दाम बाप के ज़माने के दाम आपके ज़माने में. So with same weapon they have actually addressed two problems, cultural difference and the economical product. So McDonald's was the first fast food company which forayed into India after globalization. So see how the company has to gear according to the cultural requirements. We see that why the companies like Ariel and the companies like Pediasure failed in the market, because they failed to address the individual requirements. They failed to address the cultural difference. See, dishwasher is not you can say welcomed in India because our fooding habits are such that we cannot have utensils which can be easily washed in dishwasher. So dishwasher is a complete failure in a country like India. Similarly, Pediasure, it has not addressed the economic requirement of the country. They didn't understand that per capita income of India is very low. So they introduced, you can say, a 1 kg pack of this milk additive. No doubt it is very good, but not everybody can afford it. So finally and eventually they have to come up with sachet, if, and that is how they have survived in the Indian market. The same thing happened with Ariel. We are actually not using washing powder as per soap basis, per wash basis. We are using it as a part of our monthly budget. But Ariel take into consideration only the per wash system, and it used in China also. In China, the company was successful, but in India, the company failed because it failed to address the cultural requirements of Indian citizens. So, I think you have understood that what are the cultural requirements of the country. So, it is very difficult for an operations manager to address the cultural requirement of every country, because every country is dwelling on different traditions, different taboos, different values. So, these cultural differences should be incorporated in your quality specifications. So, mass customization is a big problem in front of the operations management. Next comes the empowered employees. See, these are the times of knowledge workers. Because of artificial intelligence, because of automation, because of heavy mechanization, the industries are now becoming capital intensive. But still, we need workers. But these workers are not laborers, these are actually knowledge workers. So, these knowledge workers are well aware about their rights. They know that they have many more options in the market. You only need to have adequate skill. Moreover, there is a cultural milieu. So you have to understand that you are not dealing with one type of worker. In fact, these workers have different cultural background, different educational background, different psychological background, different personal background. So every time the HR management has to understand that you are actually hiring a different type of employee every time. So, taking care of employees is yet another task in front of the operations management, right? So now, why it is very important to retain your employees? See, because it is very difficult to train a new employee. The training costs are very high. Moreover, if the organizations are not successful in developing a sense of belongingness in the employee, the productivity will seriously get impacted. And moreover, this you can say this non-satisfaction in from the job will be manifested in so many areas like absenteeism, like loss of concentration, etc. So this will actually increase the cost of operation of any organization. So every organization should focus on retaining your employees, so that you can have stability in your production processes, right? So next is environmentally sensitive production. See students, you have to understand that nowadays we are facing so many environmental issues that you cannot uh, continue with the products which are not actually according to the requirement of environment. See, we have to produce products which are environmental friendly, right? So we are seeing that there is high degree of pollution. We are suffering from global warming. We are suffering from ozone layer depletion, and we are suffering from depletion of our natural resources. So the not only the output, but our production systems should also work on renewable sources of energy. Since there is heavy automation in the industry, you need to have energy to operate. So, this energy should not be taken from non renewable sources like thermal energy. We should rather depend on hydroelectric energy or wind energy. That is why we are seeing that so many products are coming up in India which are actually backed up by solar batteries, because solar energy is one type of renewable source of energy. So now the organizations are actually addressing the requirement of environment, because you cannot sustain. There are Paris conventions, the people are aware. So I'm taking example of leather industry. So leather industry is producing good output. What it is doing as a repercussion, it is actually contaminating our pious river Ganges. So that is why leather industry is actually facing a big challenge from these environmental protection norms. So you need to produce products, or not only products, your production systems, your production processes should be such that it address the requirement of environment. Next comes a big question, that is ethics and social responsibility. See students, it is always said easier than done. Students, organizations are not only vested with the responsibility of providing quality products, they have to work beyond that. They should not work on the cost of society. Now, let me explain ethics first. See, in a country like India, where we have huge unemployed population, is it beneficial to install a facility which is fully automated? Now, this is what we call ethics. See, if we look from the perspective of the organization, it is good because you are getting profit. You have huge market. India has a huge population, so you have a huge market here. But by employing fully automated systems, what you are doing, you are taking jobs or employment from so many hands. So this is what I mean by ethics. So every organization should not be so selfish. It should not look only for the profit maximization or wealth maximization. They should take care of the common man, because you are getting revenue from this common man only. So this is what I mean ethical dilemma, which is generally faced by the companies nowadays. Now comes the social responsibility. See students, every organization is taking some or the other thing from the society. They are not working in seclusion or isolation. So the organization has to work beyond those customers. You have to look for the society at a large. See, government has given 2% mandatory requirement to go, which will go for corporate social responsibility. But the good companies will go beyond that. In case of social response, see, this environmentally sensitive production is one aspect of your CSR. But since it has a very broad you can say broad horizon to cover, it has been given separate importance. So, when it comes to corporate social responsibility, the organization should give adequate taxes to the government, take care of the pollution, should give quality products, should work beyond that 2%, and this 2% can be beyond 2% can be maintained by upliftment of the society, by helping the needy people. So those organizations who are into that, those processes are well accepted by the country like India. If I give you two examples, one is Jio, another is Tata. See, Tata is or Infosys. These two companies are known for their corporate social responsibility. If I give, see, Tata Swatch was developed was by this company at the time of tsunami. That was the first economical non-electrical based water purifier, because at that time there was no electricity because of tsunami. Moreover, because of contaminated water, what was happening? The people were dying out of cholera, jaundice, and malaria. So they needed a water purifier can which can be afforded, and moreover, it should be non-electricity based. So what Tata did, they used the raw material. Silver, which is actually the byproduct in their jewelry division, and they used it as the purifier in this Tata Swatch. So this is what I mean by corporate social responsibility. The same thing goes with Infosys also. Infosys e-Chopal is very common. You know, the whole chain of eateries given by the company Infosys, like Bingo Chips, like Ashirwad Atta, they all are using input taken from the farmers. They are actually the first Indian company which have gone for contract farming with Indian farmers. So this is what I mean by corporate social responsibilities. So, if you want to survive in this globalized scenario, you are not only supposed to provide quality products and services, right? You have to look beyond that. You have to walk an extra mile to woo the customer to sustain your market position, right? So these are the very big challenges in front of the operations management, because if you are maintaining ethics, you are losing your profitability. If you are spending heavy amounts on corporate social responsibility, you are actually reducing your profit margins. So every time you have to build a trade-off between your profitability and your you can say long-term sustenance. So students, you have to understand that it is not easier for an operations manager to take decisions in these critical times. So these are the few challenges which are faced by the operations manager. Now this see, all these things I have summarized in one table. See, now they are the past it was local or national focus, now we have global focus. What was the reasons? Low cost, reliable worldwide communication and transportation networks. Previously, we were producing batch or large shipments, but since there was a capital blockage and we need to reduce our cost, so we have just-in-time shipments. Previously, we were not focusing on quality. Rather, if we were focusing on low bid purchasing, the vendor who has given low prices would be accepted. But now we are focusing on quality, because we have understood that garbage in is garbage out. And to sustain the market position, you can never and ever compromise with quality. So from low bid purchasing, we have moved to supply chain partners. Previously, we have lengthy product developments. Now we have shorter life cycles, rapid international communication, we have computerization, we have international collaboration. Because of that, we can outsource. Because of that, we can shift the unimportant activities to the you can say cheaper to the nations which have cheap labor like India. So it has given rise to rapid product development, alliances, collaborative designs. So students, it is very difficult to operate in such time of turbulent environment. You don't know what is going to happen in future. So these are the very big challenges which are faced by an operations manager. But nevertheless, the importance is there, and operations manager has to take right decision, and that is why he uses technology, he uses computers in decision making. So students, that is all for this, and we'll meet again with few further topics. Thank you.